The outsider. The crystalline doors of the transport shuttle hissed open, releasing a gentle mist of equalizing atmosphere. Maya Chen took a deep breath, adjusted her Earth Alliance uniform, and stepped onto the gleaming floor of Celestia Station. 4 years of applications, diplomatic negotiations, and rigorous testing had led to this moment. The first human ever admitted to the prestigious Galactic Academy of Sciences. Maya had expected some reaction from the welcoming committee, curiosity perhaps, or academic interest. What she hadn't anticipated was the collective flinch that rippled through the assembled faculty members. 12 different species representing the academic elite of the Galactic Union recoiled almost in unison. Tendrils retracted, eye stalks swiveled backward, and environmental suits hummed with sudden increases in protective field strength. They're acting like I'm about to attack them, Maya thought, fighting the urge to look behind her for some actual threat. Administrator Xalvi approached, though approached might be generous. The administrator, whose body resembled a collection of iridescent blue cylinders connected by glowing energy fields, maintained a careful distance of exactly 3 meters. The translator at what Maya assumed was a communication node pulsed with soft light. "Welcome to the Academy, Human Chen," Salvi said, the translator struggling with the formal greeting. "We have prepared specialized accommodations for your distinctive physiological requirements." The way Salvi said distinctive made it sound more like potentially catastrophic. Maya smiled, hoping the expression translated across species barriers as friendly rather than threatening. "Thank you for the welcome. I'm honored to be the first human student at such a renowned institution." A smaller being with a cloud-like body whispered something to a colleague with multiple sensory organs. The translator picked up fragments, predatory posture, and displays dental weapons. Maya quickly closed her mouth. Cultural misunderstandings were expected, but this level of apparent fear confused her. Standing just 5'4", with an athletic but hardly imposing build, she had never considered herself intimidating in any way. As the formal welcome concluded, Maya was escorted to her quarters by 2 hovering security drones, rather than the customary faculty guide. The corridors of Celestia Station were a marvel of interspecies architecture, wide enough for the largest beings, with various atmosphere bubbles, gravity adjusters, and temperature zones that shifted seamlessly as they walked. Her room was at the end of a sealed corridor with warning signs in 23 languages. "These are your quarters," announced the station AI through a speaker. "Reinforced walls, independent life support, and emergency containment fields for your comfort and safety. And for everyone else's safety from me," Maya realized with a sinking feeling. The room was spacious with Earth-standard gravity and atmosphere. One wall was transparent, offering a stunning view of the spiral galaxy the station orbited. Another wall displayed her class schedule, blinking with several warnings about restricted areas and safety protocols. Maya sat on the bed, feeling the weight of isolation. Just hours ago, she had been celebrated on Earth as a pioneer. Now she felt like a monster. Her tablet pinged with a message. Her first academic assignment, a 350-page document titled Deathworlder Integration. "Understanding your classification." Curious, she began reading. Class 12 Deathworlds such as Terra, Earth, are extreme planetary environments featuring most or all of the following: high gravity, aggressive atmospheric composition, extreme temperature variations, high radiation levels, abundant predator evolution, microbial saturation, and tectonic instability. Sapient species evolving on such worlds develop biological adaptations that render them potential biohazards in standard galactic environments. Maya's eyes widened as she continued reading. According to galactic classification, humans were walking biological hazards. Their bones were internal weapons, dangerous calcium deposits. Their immune systems were described as hyper-aggressive microbial warfare. Their muscle density was classified as assault grade. Even their digestive system was labeled capable of processing compounds toxic to 89% of sapient species. The document explained that the average human could survive conditions that would kill most galactic citizens instantly, from temperature extremes to radiation levels to atmospheric toxins. It described Earth's gravity as crushing and its atmospheric pressure as extreme. A section on human psychology was equally concerning, describing their evolutionary history as apex predators, with pack-hunting instincts, territorial aggression patterns, and persistent pursuit-predation techniques. Maya laughed in disbelief, then stopped herself when she realized the room was probably monitored. What the document described as exceptional survival traits were just being human. Nothing about herself had ever seemed remarkable on Earth. That evening, Maya received a message from Professor Ilara, her xenobiology instructor. Human Chen, I am your faculty advisor. Please report to Laboratory 7 tomorrow for baseline physiological assessments. Note, please refrain from rapid movements, displaying teeth, direct eye contact with empathic species, or consuming food in public areas. Your cooperation with these temporary measures will ease integration. Maya sighed. This wasn't going to be easy. She had come to study advanced theoretical physics, not to be studied herself. Looking out at the stars through her window, Maya remembered the words of the Earth Alliance representative during her orientation. You're not just a student, you're a diplomat. How you represent humanity will determine if doors open or close for those who follow. She typed a quick reply to Professor Ilara. I'll be there. Thank you for your guidance. Then Maya made a decision. She would approach this challenge like any other scientific problem, with careful observation, data collection, and hypothesis testing. If humans were seen as dangerous Deathworlders, she would need to understand exactly why, and then carefully demonstrate that humans were more than just their evolutionary adaptations. As she prepared for bed, the station's night cycle dimming the lights automatically, Maya noticed something odd. The environmental controls in her room were set to what the system labeled extreme Earth conditions, yet the temperature, humidity, gravity, and air composition felt perfectly normal to her. What felt normal to her was apparently considered extreme by galactic standards. Maya Chen, ordinary physics student from Seattle, was considered one of the most dangerous beings on the entire station. Tomorrow will be interesting, she thought as she drifted off to sleep beneath a warning label that read, Caution, DATHLUORALDER continental area. Maya's first day of classes started with disaster. She arrived early to advanced xenobiology, carefully choosing the seat in the back corner where she hoped to attract minimal attention. Students filed in, their various appendages and sensory organs twitching nervously when they spotted her. A clear bubble of empty seats formed around her. Professor Ilara, a being with 6 limbs and skin that shifted colors with their emotions, began the lecture. Their skin had settled into a cautious yellow-green as they discussed cellular adaptation to different planetary environments. Today we will examine how various species modify their internal chemistry. The professor stopped mid-sentence as Maya raised her hand. Their skin flashed a startled orange. Yes, human Chen. They asked, voice amplified through their translator. I had a question about the reading on cellular regeneration, Maya said politely. 3 students nearest to her immediately activated their personal shields. Professor Ilara's color deepened to a worried amber. Perhaps save questions for after class, they suggested. Now, as I was saying, Maya nodded and lowered her hand. She hadn't realized that direct questions might be interpreted as confrontational. She made a mental note to approach professors privately. Later that day, in advanced materials science, disaster struck again. Students were testing the durability of a new composite material developed for deep space applications. This polymer crystal matrix can withstand forces up to 950 megapascals, explained Professor Nari, a gelatinous being who floated rather than walked. It is essentially unbreakable by any biological entity. The students passed around sample pieces. When Maya's turn came, she gently took the material between her fingers to examine its light-refracting properties. The sample snapped in half with a sharp crack. The classroom went silent. 20 pairs, or more, of eyes, eye stalks, and sensory clusters turned toward her in shock. "I barely touched it," Maya said, horrified. "I'm so sorry." Professor Neri's translator emitted a high-pitched sound that might have been alarm. "Class dismissed," they announced before quickly floating away. By day 3, word had spread. Maya had broken 3 more unbreakable materials in various classes, caused a sensitive plant species to enter emergency dormancy by merely approaching it in botany class, and accidentally knocked over a crystalline student when turning too quickly in a hallway. The cafeteria experience was possibly the most humiliating. Maya entered during peak meal hours, tray in hand. As she walked toward an empty table, a wave of reactions rippled through the room. Several gaseous beings condensed slightly. Others stopped mid-bite. Maya sat down and opened her earth food container of rice, vegetables, and tofu. The scent wafted through the air. 3 students immediately left their tables. Several others activated small personal ventilators. She heard whispers through nearby translator devices, consuming actual cellular matter. And look at those tearing implements. And is that once living tissue? Maya realized her meal, perfectly normal to her, was horrifying to species who synthesized nutrients directly or consumed only mineral compounds. She quickly closed her container and left, cheeks burning with embarrassment. On day 5 came the physical assessment in comparative physiology. Students were testing their species' natural abilities in the Academy's adaptable gymnasium. When Maya's turn came, Professor Ilara instructed her to perform light cardiovascular activity. She began a gentle jog around the track. Alarms immediately blared. Red lights flashed. 3 security drones descended from the ceiling. "Hey LT, biological threat level 4, announced the station eye. Predatory movement patterns detected. Professor Ilara frantically waved their limbs. "System override. This is an authorized demonstration." The alarm ceased, but students cowered at the edges of the room. Maya stopped, mortified. "Perhaps just walk," suggested Professor Ilara, their skin now a deep purple. Next came strength assessment. Maya was asked to demonstrate a basic exercise from her planet. She dropped to the floor and performed a standard push-up. 2 empathic students immediately collapsed. A medical drone rushed to their aid. "They're feeling your muscle contractions as pain," explained Professor Ilara. "Your body is exerting forces that would tear their musculature apart." By the end of the week, Maya had become a reluctant celebrity. Students observed her from safe distances. Professors modified entire lesson plans around her presence. The administration sent daily safety updates. The breakthrough came unexpectedly in advanced chemical synthesis with Professor Trill, a tall, willowy being with skin that resembled polished metal. "Today we discuss theoretical compound ZX479, announced Professor Trill. "This compound could revolutionize quantum communications, but it can only be synthesized under extreme pressure and temperature conditions." Holographic diagrams displayed the molecular structure and synthesis requirements. Pressure equivalent to 3 kilometers below Earth's ocean surface, temperatures approaching freezing, and precise manipulation of unstable elements. "Of course, this remains theoretical," continued Professor Trill. "No biological entity could manipulate the synthesis equipment under such conditions. The pressure would crush most species, the cold would freeze cellular activity, and the precision required exceeds biological capability." Maya studied the specifications. The conditions described were certainly challenging, but not impossible. Deep-sea research on Earth worked in similar environments. The cold was nothing compared to a winter in Chicago, and the manipulation just required steady hands. "I could try," Maya said quietly. The class went silent. Professor Trill's metallic skin rippled in what might have been surprise. "Human Chen, perhaps you misunderstand. These conditions are lethal to biological systems." "Not to humans," Maya replied. "We have deep-sea divers who work in similar pressures. The temperature is within our tolerance range, and I've done microassembly work before." Professor Trill consulted their tablet, presumably reviewing human physiological data. Their posture shifted in what Maya had come to recognize as academic interest overcoming fear. "Fascinating," they said finally. "Would you be willing to attempt this as a demonstration? It would be unprecedented." The crisis. An hour later, Maya stood before the synthesis chamber in the advanced laboratory. A crowd had gathered, not just students from her class, but professors, administrators, and even Administrator Xalvi. The chamber was a reinforced glass cylinder filled with specialized equipment. Warning signs in multiple languages covered its surface. "The chamber will gradually increase pressure and decrease temperature," explained Professor Trill. "You may exit at any point if you experience distress." Maya nodded, donning the specialized gloves that would allow her to manipulate the molecular assembly tools. "Beginning demonstration," announced the AI. Maya entered the chamber. The door sealed with a hiss. The temperature began to drop as pressure increased. She felt the familiar sensation of pressure in her ears, similar to deep diving. The cold made her fingers slightly less nimble but still functional. Through the glass, she could see the astonished faces of students and faculty, their various appendages pressed against the transparent barrier in fascination. When the optimal conditions were reached, Maya began the delicate work of molecular assembly. The tools were designed for mechanical manipulation, not biological hands, but she adapted quickly. Her fingers moved steadily, connecting molecular bonds, stabilizing volatile elements, and carefully constructing the theoretical compound. 20 minutes later, a small glowing crystal, the supposedly impossible compound, sat on the platform before her. Professor Trill's metallic skin was rippling so rapidly it appeared to be boiling. Administrator Xalvi's multiple limbs were gesticulating in what might have been excitement or alarm. As the chamber decompressed and warmed, Maya rolled down her sleeves, trying to appear casual despite her racing heart. She had done it, not because she was extraordinary among humans, but because what seemed impossible to the galactic community was simply challenging for a human. When she stepped out, the crowd didn't retreat in fear. For the first time since her arrival, they pressed forward, translators buzzing with questions and exclamations. Maya smiled, careful not to show her teeth. Administrator Xalvi's office transformed into an impromptu monitoring station as faculty members crowded around the large display screen. The footage showed Maya inside the high-pressure chamber, calmly manipulating materials that the station's safety protocols classified as extreme hazards. "She's doing it." Xalvi's voice rose higher than their translator could properly modulate. Their thin limbs vibrated with agitation. On screen, Maya handled the catalyzing agent with bare hands, wearing only basic protective gloves rather than the mechanical manipulation arms that most species required. "The human is manipulating the catalyzing agents directly," whispered Assistant Professor Zinn, a blue-tinged being with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. "Our models indicated this would require specialized mechanical interfaces, yet she's using her appendages." Professor Trill adjusted the viewing angle. "Look at her skin. It's not showing any signs of chemical burns despite direct exposure to trace amounts." "Is this normal for humans?" asked Xalvi. No one answered immediately. The xenobiology specialists exchanged glances. "We may have misunderstood something fundamental about Deathworlders," Professor Ilara finally admitted, their skin flushing the deep orange of embarrassment. Inside the chamber, Maya completed the synthesis. The compound stabilized, emitting a soft blue glow that indicated success. She gave a small wave to the camera before beginning the decompression sequence. "I need to update our species interaction protocols," Xalvi muttered, already typing on their tablet. The next morning, Maya entered her advanced physics class to find something unexpected. Students didn't move away from her. Instead, several turned their sensory appendages toward her with what she interpreted as curiosity rather than fear. As she took her seat, a crystalline being named Crix shifted closer. "Is it true you synthesized ZX479 yesterday?" Crix asked, their translator producing a delicate chiming voice. "Yes," Maya replied cautiously, careful not to make sudden movements. "And you didn't require medical attention afterward?" "No. The conditions weren't that extreme for humans." A small crowd was gathering now. Pax, a gaseous being contained in a transparent environmental suit, floated closer. "Is your species born with pressure resistance, or is it trained?" they asked. Maya considered how to explain. "Neither, really. Earth has deep oceans and high mountains. Some places have very hot or cold temperatures. Humans have explored most of these environments. What you call extreme conditions are just normal variations on my planet." This triggered a flurry of translated whispers. The students were recording her responses on their tablets. Maya realized she had become a research subject. The professor arrived and class began, but throughout the lecture, Maya noticed the students paying as much attention to her as to the lesson. That afternoon, Professor Ilara requested Maya's presence in the xenobiology lab. When she arrived, she found a small group of faculty members waiting. "Human Chen," Professor Ilara began, their skin a neutral blue, "we would like to request your assistance with a research project." "What kind of project?" Maya asked. "We believe we have fundamentally misclassified humans," explained Professor Trill. "While Earth is indeed a Class 12 death world by objective measures, our understanding of how those conditions shape human biology appears incomplete." Assistant Professor Zen stepped forward. "Would you be willing to demonstrate some basic human capabilities? With your permission, we would record data to create a more accurate profile of human biology." Maya hesitated. "I'm not exceptional among humans. I'm just an average student." "That's precisely what makes this valuable," said Professor Ilara. "If an average human can perform feats our models classified as impossible, then we need better models." Over the next few weeks, Maya's status at the academy transformed from feared outsider to respected curiosity. The more the faculty and students learned about human capabilities, the more their fear gave way to fascination. Maya found herself surrounded by eager students between classes, all with questions about Earth and human biology. Crix, the crystalline student, became a regular study partner, their natural affinity for mathematics complementing Maya's intuitive understanding of physics. Pax, the gaseous being, showed her the hidden wonders of the station's botanical gardens, where they volunteered nurturing exotic plant species from across the galaxy. Even Professor Ilara's skin had begun showing colors in the blue-green spectrum of relaxation and comfort during their regular advisory meetings. On a quiet academic day, 6 weeks into the term, Maya was deep in conversation with a group of students in the central atrium when the station's emergency alarms blared to life. Red warning lights pulsed along the corridors as the AE's voice echoed through every chamber. "Critical alert. Station core integrity compromised. Power system cascade failure imminent. All personnel proceed to evacuation points immediately." This is not a drill. The atrium erupted in chaos. Students of various species moved toward emergency exits, some flowing like liquid, others hovering or scuttling on multiple appendages. Station security drones zipped through the air, directing traffic and assisting those with mobility issues. Maya checked the emergency display panels that had activated along the walls. The situation was dire. A micrometeor had penetrated the station's outer shell and damaged critical power regulation systems. The central fusion core was becoming unstable. If it collapsed, the entire station would be destroyed. The evacuation countdown timer showed 47 minutes until all shuttles could depart. The core stability projection showed complete failure in 39 minutes. Simple mathematics. 8 minutes too late. Thousands of lives at stake. Maya pushed against the flow of evacuating students toward a maintenance access panel she'd noticed during her exploration of the station. The panel led to service corridors that would take her closer to the damaged section. "Human Chen, where are you going?" It was Professor Ilara, their skin flashing alarmed patterns of red and orange. "You must evacuate with the others." The evacuation will take too long, Maya said, already working to override the access panel security. Not everyone will make it out. The automated systems will attempt emergency containment, Ilara insisted, their voice rising with stress. According to these readings, they're already failing, Maya replied, pointing to a diagnostic panel. I can help. It's too dangerous. The core section radiation levels are lethal. To most species, yes, Maya said as the panel slid open. But humans evolved on a planet bathed in radiation compared to most galactic worlds. We can tolerate short exposures. Before Ilara could protest further, Maya slipped into the access corridor. Behind her, she heard Ilara frantically communicating with station security. The service tunnels were cramped and hot, designed for maintenance drones rather than biological entities. Maya crawled through junction after junction, following the pulsing emergency indicators toward the core section. When she reached the final security door, it was sealed with radiation warnings in 24 languages. The panel beside it showed catastrophic readings beyond. Temperatures approaching 200 degrees Celsius, radiation levels far beyond safety parameters, and toxic gas leaks from damaged cooling systems. Maya took a deep breath. Dangerous, yes, but survivable for short periods for a species evolved on Earth. She overrode the safety protocols and pushed through. The heat hit her like a physical blow as she entered the core maintenance area. Sweat immediately drenched her uniform, and her lungs burned with each breath. Through the shimmer of superheated air, she could see the problem. The regulation rods that controlled the fusion reaction were misaligned after the impact, and the automated systems had been damaged. The control console was partially melted, but still operational. Maya forced her way forward, the metal floor hot enough to feel through her boots. Warnings screamed from every display, counting down to catastrophic failure. Maya's hands moved across the controls, her basic training in fusion systems guiding her actions. The heat was becoming unbearable, her skin reddening with radiation burns, but she continued working. The manual override required physical manipulation of the control rods, something no mechanical system on the station could accomplish now. With a final surge of effort, Maya pulled the emergency stabilization lever and felt it lock into place. The screaming alarms subsided to urgent warnings, and the countdown timer froze, then began to increase slowly as the reaction stabilized. Maya staggered back toward the security door, her vision blurring from the heat and radiation exposure. She made it through before collapsing in the relatively cooler service tunnel. When she regained consciousness, Maya was in the medical bay, surrounded by concerned alien faces. Administrator Xalvi, Professor Ilara, Crix, and Pax were all watching as medical drones administered treatment for radiation exposure and heat trauma. The station, Maya managed to ask, her throat raw. Saved, Administrator Xalvi said, their translator conveying something like awe. The core has been stabilized. Emergency teams were able to complete the repairs after your intervention created the necessary time window. You should not have survived those conditions, Professor Ilara said, their skin a conflicted swirl of colors. The environmental readings in that chamber would have killed any known species instantly. Except a Deathworlder, Maya said with a weak smile. 2 days later, still recovering in the medical bay, Maya received a steady stream of visitors. Students from every department came bearing tokens of appreciation. Crystalline formations, rare gases in decorative containers, and even carefully prepared Earth-style food. Administrator Xalvi arrived with an official delegation from the Galactic Council. Human Chen, they began formally. The Academy wishes to extend its deepest gratitude for your actions. You have saved not only this station but the most brilliant young minds from across the galaxy. Xalvi's limbs moved in a formal pattern that Maya recognized as a sign of highest respect. Furthermore, the Galactic Council has reviewed our classification protocols regarding Earth and human physiology. While Earth remains technically a Class 12 death world, we now recognize that this classification represents not merely a danger but a remarkable adaptive advantage in certain circumstances. Professor Ilara stepped forward, their skin a warm, appreciative gold. We would like to create a new exchange program. With your help, other humans should have the opportunity to study here, and our students should learn more about Earth's unique environment. From terror to respect in 6 weeks, Maya thought with amusement. Not bad for a dangerous Deathworlder. Aloud, she said, I would be honored to help. As her visitors departed, Crix remained behind, their crystalline structure glittering in the medical bay's lights. I have been thinking, they said hesitantly, about what you told me regarding human learning, that you learn through failure and practice. Yes, Maya prompted. On my world, we believe perfect performance is expected from the first attempt. Anything less indicates poor preparation. But after watching you work under those impossible conditions in the core, adapting to problems no one could have predicted, Crix's translator hummed as they searched for the right words. Perhaps there is wisdom in the Deathworlder way. Maya smiled, no longer hiding her teeth, and Crix, for the first time, didn't flinch away. The most important lesson I've learned here, Maya said, is that what makes us different doesn't have to make us afraid of each other. Sometimes our differences are exactly what we need to survive together. Outside the medical bay window, students and faculty moved through the station corridors, all alive because a dangerous Deathworlder had come to study among them. Maya watched them pass, no longer an outsider but a bridge between worlds, between fear and understanding. The first human at the Galactic Academy had changed everything.